On this edition of Fulton at Work, Fulton's infrastructure continues to change. The parking lots of the county's senior service and health centers receive a D.R.E.A.M makeover. And Fulton County's libraries enter the next phase of the renovation process. It all starts right now on Fulton at Work. Welcome to Fulton at Work. I'm Darrell Carver. The Department of Real Estate and Asset Management, better known as D.R.E.A.M, is on a mission to deliver quality services with outstanding customer value through sound financial management. D.R.E.A.M is not only responsible for the maintenance of county facilities, the department is also responsible for maintaining the grounds of those facilities. Thanks to capital funding of $7.5 million received in 2017, the parking lots of facilities all over the county look better and are more safe thanks to D.R.E.A.M. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk to the department's director and the project manager to find out what it took to improve the image and safety of these lots. So please stay with us. Welcome back to Fulton at Work. I'm Darrell Carver. Those who use some of the county's senior, health, and service centers will notice major external differences upon their next visit. Joining us now to talk about paving improvements is the director of D.R.E.A.M, Ellis Kirby, and the deputy director for asset management, Joe Davis. First of all, thank you both for joining us here on Fulton at Work.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Mr. Kirby, remind us about the county's $1 billion infrastructure investment.
Absolutely. Over $800 million of the $1 billion is led by Public Works and David Clark for transportation and water projects. D.R.E.A.M is left with a little over $2 million in projects that comprises of several key areas. First, over $100 million is allotted for the renovation of 21 libraries across the county, along with the renovation of the iconic Central Library. Then there's $90 million also allotted through bond funds for the downtown facilities. That includes the Government Center Complex, the Justice Center Complex, the Juvenile Justice Complex, and Medical Examiner. Lastly, we are allotted with $7.5 million annually to address facilities around the county when it comes to infrastructure and capital improvements.
$7.5 million in capital dollars was used to improve the parking lots of various facilities around the county, including senior centers, health centers, animal control, north and south service centers. Why were those improvements necessary?
Great question. Let me clarify. The $7.5 million annually was derived from the Fulton and Gould report in 2016. What Joe and myself and the county leadership performed was a prioritization of infrastructure issues across the county. That included air conditioning, roofing, security alarms, interiors, along with parking lots. We prioritized the $7.5 million that included the parking lots to address critical needs and critical safety issues for the operations of those buildings.
And what were some of the safety hazards that these improvements eliminated?
The parking lot specifically, there were cracks in the parking lot, there were trip hazards, striping that had faded, and just general conditions that resulted in serious safety issues for our visitors, employees, and guests.
Joe, if you could talk about the role you and your staff played in these improvement projects.
Well, after collaborating with Ellis in determining the priority of the various projects that were identified in the Fulton and Gould assessment, I and my team worked diligently with purchasing, as well as our standby contractors, as well as other specialty contracts, to make sure that we were approaching these various projects correctly. Subsequently, we would then go out and manage the projects, working with the various facility users to ensure that there were no disruptions to operations and so forth.
Joe, was it difficult managing these projects, especially since some were happening at the same time?
Well, unlike the bond projects that Ellis mentioned earlier, the $7.5 million capital projects were a lot smaller but higher in number of volume. So yes, it was somewhat difficult because there were a lot of facilities and a lot of end users that we had to work with. Ultimately, we were able to get those projects completed and completed to the satisfaction of the facility users as well as the facility visitors.
Also, did any of the facilities have to close in order to get these jobs finished?
Oh, that's actually a loaded question somewhat. No, the facilities didn't have to close. We had to close certain areas of the facilities in order to accommodate the work being completed, but none of our facilities had to close entirely, thereby eliminating service to the citizens.
And how long did it take each project to complete?
Well, the projects varied in scope from building to building, so there was really no set time frame for each individual project. Ultimately, some projects might have taken a couple of days, others might have taken months. It just simply depended on the scope of work.
And the next question is for either of you gentlemen. What kind of feedback have you received from the people who use these facilities on a regular basis?
We're getting great responses from everyone, from employees, leadership, commissioners, and guests. Everyone is excited that their facilities are being upgraded. There's a new image, an improved image, and there's also safety issues are being addressed. But ultimately, the biggest response and confirmation is the recent increase in satisfaction for facilities in our annual customer survey.
And finally, just share any final additional thoughts you have about all these parking lot renovations.
Ultimately, the parking lots serve as the first impression area of any of all our facilities. And ultimately, the view that the consumers or the citizens of Fulton County has when they approach one of our buildings, that's our main goal, is to give them the best impression possible, and the parking lot renovations have done that.
When you combine that impression with the reasonable cost to upgrade, you get a multi-layer benefit both from an impression perspective and also from a safety perspective. Great results.
Gentlemen, thank you both for the great information, and thank you both again for joining us here on Fulton at Work.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now, when we come back, we'll find out what's happening with the Atlanta Fulton Public Library system now that Phase 2 of the library building program has gotten underway. So please stay with us. Welcome back to Fulton at Work. The Atlanta Fulton Public Library system continues to make progress on the library building program. In April of 2018, Phase 2 of the plan and renovation of 23 library branches, as well as the system's downtown Atlanta headquarters at the Central Library, finally began. So what can library patrons expect as the library renovation project continues? Claudia Strange from the Atlanta Fulton Public Library joins us now from the Central Library to explain. First of all, thank you for joining us here on Fulton at Work.
Thank you for having me.
Please remind our viewers about what the library building program is all about.
Of course. So the library building program is a bond referendum that was passed by voters in 2007. We have been in Phase 1 for quite some time, and that included the building of 8 brand new libraries and the renovation and expansion of 2 others. Phase 1 was completed in 2016, and we have recently moved on to Phase 2, which includes the renovation of 22 libraries and is in particular the Central Library in downtown Atlanta.
And why are these renovations necessary to begin with?
Many of our buildings, as we call them, legacy branches, needed some love, and they have not had nearly the amount of love that they've needed over the years, and just needed some basic work to get them ready to continue serving the community for years to come. Things like HVAC, needing new carpeting, paint, just things to just refresh and improve the basic functions of the libraries that are in the second phase of the project, as well as getting them modernized with technology and really getting them in a place where you have a system that is consistent system-wide, and where we have the same technology here that we have at the South Fulton Library and the same that we have at Wolf Creek or Alpharetta or Milton. We want all of our libraries to be able to operate in the same manner.
If you could, go into the different phases that are part of this renovation.
So the renovation project is in 2 phases. Phase 1 was the building of 8 brand new libraries and the expansion and renovation of 2 others. The Phase 2 portion of the project is all about renovating. So we renovate all of the libraries that remain in the system and get them all up to the same level of technology and basic flow through each of the branches to match kind of the beautiful standard we set for ourselves with phase one.
Along the way, the public's invited to offer their input on the design plans for these libraries. Why was that necessary?
We have always felt that these libraries belong to the community that we serve, and our library patrons tell us every day what they want to see in our libraries. So we just felt it important to continue that information gathering in a more formal way right before we get ready to actually do the work. So, you know, getting information from each of the communities that we have a library currently in included things like, you know, this one library may need more computers than another. Some libraries may check out more physical books. Some may be using more of our digital resources. Really tried to understand what the needs of each specific community were. So for us, it was important to actually get into those communities, talk to the people who live there and who use the library, and find out exactly how they're using it, how they want to continue to use it, and how we can make sure we meet that need and remain flexible as libraries change.
And what was the public's reaction to the county seeking their input?
So the public has been wonderful. I mean, they've been very excited to share all their thoughts about what the libraries needed. You know, we sometimes had to go on a little later than we anticipated with some of our meetings, just to make sure that we were able to hear from everyone that needed to be heard and that wanted to be heard. We didn't stop taking comment until they were done providing it, and we felt that was important, and then we want that investment in our libraries from the community. So it is our responsibility to make sure that we hear that input and that we try to facilitate working that into our plans anywhere we can.
And why was it necessary to divide the libraries being renovated into different groups?
So that was more of a planning tool. We divided all of our libraries into groups, group 1 through 4. Central Library is its own group, in order to try to kind of stagger how we're going to do the actual construction work. We don't want to get into a place where we're shutting everything down at once. You know, we don't want to create these, what we call library deserts, where there's no library for miles and miles because everything around any particular part of the county is closed for renovation. So in order to try to facilitate a more reasonable schedule that will allow people who might be used to going to one library to still go to another nearby, we staggered the way that they were renovated and the way that they were planned and designed.
And will these branches remain open while they're under construction?
So all of the libraries while they're under construction will close. We felt it important to get everyone out of the building, get all of our materials out of the building, and get them into safe storage, and have the project move as quickly as it can. So in order to facilitate a quick construction project, we need to have an empty space. So that's why we staggered that kind of, the groups that we've created have been staggered so that we can get in, close it down, get everything out, get it renovated, and get it open as quickly as possible. And so we're hoping that by doing that, we can just complete this process much faster.
When do you anticipate the entire renovation of these library buildings to be completed?
We expect that it will be completed in 2020. That's when the bond is to be completed. So far, we're still on track to do that, and you know, with construction, things change every day, and you know, we've already had to move a few dates here and there. So we're moving along quickly, but we're constantly updating our website. We have a pretty extensive library renovation project page where we're updating timelines, updating proposed closing dates, meeting dates, and changing as things need to change based on, construction schedules and stuff.
And if patrons want to avoid the construction, they can always check out the library's online catalog, correct?
That's correct. Our digital library is always open. So whether it is because your library is under construction or you just want to stay in your jammies that day, you can always get onto our digital library, which is on our website, afpls.org. And on that digital library, you can do everything from check out books to movies to CDs or music. You can stream music. You can, read magazines on your tablet. You can check out a book and put it on hold at a branch where you can go pick it up if that's your preference. So you'll be able to do just about everything you can do inside the library without being in the library through our digital library.
We also want to focus on the annual library user survey. Why is it important for patrons to take this quick 2-minute long or so survey?
Every year we produce a library user survey in order to gather input about the needs of our patrons. And every year those needs can change. And we know that libraries are changing every day. The services that we provide to the communities change every day. So we feel it's important that every year we go back out and ask, are these still the things that you want to see? Do you still want us to be doing yoga and story time and GED testing and tax help? Do you still want us to provide, the same kind of digital resources that we have? Do you want to see that increased? It's important because people are changing, and the way we operate in this world is changing every day. So in order for us to stay with the times and to continue to provide the right service to everyone in this county, we have to keep asking that question. So this is just another opportunity for us to do that.
And how does the input help make the libraries better?
The input helps us to plan each year how we're going to use the budget that we have. It allows us to decide, in certain communities maybe we're not circulating as many books anymore because we're doing more digital downloads and we're using more digital resources more. Maybe we need to increase a budget here for our books, for our digital books. And maybe somewhere else we might need to focus some more work on programming, maybe it's STEM programming for teens. Just really depending on what we hear back from that survey allows us to plan what the best approach is to services in each library throughout the county.
Now, the 2017 version of the Library User Survey set a record for number of participants. How do you hope to build off of that success a year later?
Well, we did kind of outdo ourselves last year, so it's going to be a challenge. The good news is that there's always room to grow. We have thousands and thousands of people who participated in that survey, but this year we have a really exciting renovation project kicking off. We have a ton of engagement from the community in the library system because of that renovation project. So I think we'll really have a good opportunity to grow that number even more. We are also doing a lot more work in trying to get the word out through, again, our social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We're also doing a lot more work in emailing patrons at home and getting them to do the survey online from the comfort of their home or their phone rather than doing it when they come into the library on a piece of paper. So trying to get that more streamlined and get people on there digitally will be our focus this year.
And if you could, share any final thoughts you have on either the library building program or the online survey.
Well, the most important thing about the Library Renovation Project is that people can always comment and submit their ideas, suggestions, comments about the plans that we have up so far, or any of the libraries that have yet to get started. We have one group that has not started yet, so there's still going to be plenty of opportunity for public comment on that. It's important to keep checking our website, again, afpls.org, for updates on the Library Renovation Project. It's changing every day, so check back often and make sure that when your library's turn comes up that you are ready to come join us and tell us what you'd like to see there. And the Library User Survey just allows us to continue serving our residents and our patrons with the important resources that the library offers for free with a library card. And we want to make sure that everyone has their say in telling us what part of that is important to them.
Claudia Strange, great information from you. Thank you again for joining us here on Fulton at Work.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, when we come back, the Government Center undergoes repairs that could affect you on your next visit. We'll explain when we come back. Welcome back to Fulton at Work. Repairs to the Government Center's atrium are now underway. Barricades have been set up in areas that must be avoided for safety reasons. Now, the $2.5 million project will seal the atrium skylights, repair and replace building expansion joints, install overflow drains, remove gutters, and repair and replace the skylight support structure. While the repairs take place, the Department of Real Estate and Asset Management is prohibiting large events and rentals of the area. Now, though it's business as usual in the meantime, visitors and employees are asked to use caution. Work on the atrium will continue for the rest of the calendar year and is expected to be completed by early 2019. That's all of our time. Thanks for joining us here on Fulton at Work, and a very special thanks to our guests today. Now, we want to connect with you online, so please check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. You can also watch this show and any other FGTV programs at any time on the FGTV YouTube page. I'm D.R.E.A.M, and we'll see you next time.